First contact. The vast expanse of space had always beckoned humanity, promising adventure and discovery. But on that fateful day in 2157, as the Deep Space Monitoring Station on Europa picked up an anomalous signal, no one could have predicted the chain of events it would set in motion. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, lead xenolinguist at the United Earth Space Command, UESC, leaned forward in her chair, her eyes fixed on the holographic display before her. The signal's pattern was unlike anything she had ever seen, complex, rhythmic, and undeniably artificial. "This is it," she whispered, her heart racing. First contact. Within hours, the news had spread across the solar system. Humanity held its collective breath as the brightest minds on Earth and its colonies worked tirelessly to decipher the message. After 3 days of non-stop analysis, Dr. Rodriguez and her team made a breakthrough. "It's a greeting," she announced to the gathered UESC officials, "but it's also a warning." The message, originating from a species calling themselves the Zornax, spoke of a galactic order they maintained, one that Earth and its fledgling colonies were now encroaching upon. The Zornax demanded that humanity cease all interstellar expansion immediately or face dire consequences. Admiral Jameson, a grizzled veteran of the Mars Rebellion, frowned as he digested the information. "Are we certain this isn't some kind of hoax?" Dr. Rodriguez shook her head. "The signal origin has been confirmed. It's coming from a star system 50 light-years away. This is real, Admiral." As the implications sank in, the room erupted into a flurry of activity. Plans were made, strategies debated, and a response crafted. Humanity would not bow to threats, but neither would they rush headlong into a conflict they might not be prepared for. 2 weeks later, the first Zornax ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It was massive, easily dwarfing the largest human vessels. Its sleek, obsidian surface seemed to absorb light, making it appear like a hole in space itself. Captain Sarah Chen of the UAS Horizon, Earth's most advanced exploration vessel, was tasked with making the first face-to-face contact. As her ship approached the alien behemoth, she couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and trepidation. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Ship Horizon," she broadcast, her voice steady despite her nerves. "We come in peace and wish to open a dialogue." For several tense moments, there was no response. Then suddenly, a beam of energy lanced out from the Zornax ship, narrowly missing the horizon. "Evasive maneuvers," Chen shouted, her training kicking in. The horizon banked hard, narrowly avoiding a second shot. As the human ship retreated, a message came through their comms. The alien voice was cold and emotionless. "Your kind has no place among the stars. This is your final warning. Withdraw to your homeworld or be eradicated." The horizon limped back to Earth, bearing news of the hostile encounter. As governments around the world convened emergency sessions, military leaders began to mobilize. The honeymoon period of space exploration was over. Humanity now faced an existential threat from the stars. Dr. Rodriguez worked tirelessly, attempting to find some common ground, some way to communicate peacefully with the Zornax. But as more alien ships arrived, positioning themselves around the solar system like a noose, it became clear that diplomacy might not be an option. Admiral Jameson addressed the United Earth Council, his face grim. "Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at a crossroads. For centuries, we've looked to the stars with hope and wonder. Now, we face a species that would deny us our place in the cosmos. I say this, we will not go quietly into the night. We are humanity, and we will fight for our right to exist among the stars." His words were met with thunderous applause, a rallying cry that echoed across Earth and its colonies. Research facilities ramped up production, shipyards worked around the clock, and a spirit of unity swept through humanity like never before. As the first part of this epic saga drew to a close, the stage was set for a conflict that would determine the very fate of human civilization. The Zornax had made their intentions clear, but they had underestimated the tenacity, creativity, and sheer determination of the human spirit, the battle for humanity's future was about to begin, and Earth would not go down without a fight. Diplomatic tensions. The weeks following the Horizon incident were filled with a flurry of activity as humanity grappled with the reality of a hostile alien presence. The United Earth Council, once focused on internal disputes and colonial expansion, now found itself united in the face of an existential threat. Dr. Elena Rodriguez hadn't slept in days. Her team had been working around the clock, analyzing every scrap of data from the encounter with the Zornax. "There has to be something we're missing," she muttered, rubbing her tired eyes. Her colleague, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a brilliant xenobiologist, placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Elena, we need to consider the possibility that they simply don't want to communicate." Before Elena could respond, an alert flashed across their screens. Another Zornax transmission had been detected. The message was brief but chilling. "Your species has been deemed unworthy. You have 7 solar rotations to confine yourselves to your homeworld. Non-compliance will result in extermination." As the ultimatum spread across the globe, panic began to set in. Riots broke out in major cities, and there was a mass exodus from off-world colonies back to Earth. The United Earth Council convened an emergency session to determine their next course of action. Admiral Jameson stood before the council, his face a mask of determination. "We cannot and will not submit to these demands. Our species has fought too hard, come too far, to be caged on a single planet." Councillor Maria Ruiz, representative from the South American Union, leaned forward. "But what choice do we have? Their technology is clearly superior. We'd be leading our people to slaughter." A heated debate ensued, with arguments for both appeasement and defiance flying back and forth. It was Dr. Rodriguez who finally silenced the room. "Council members, if I may," she began, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "The Zornax communication patterns suggest a highly hierarchical society. They expect immediate compliance, because that's likely how their own civilization functions. But we're not them. Our greatest strength has always been our diversity, our ability to think and act independently while still coming together in times of crisis." She paused, letting her words sink in. "I propose we attempt one last diplomatic mission. Not to submit, but to demonstrate our worth. To show them that diversity can be a strength, not a weakness." The council chambers buzzed with murmurs. It was a risky plan, but it offered a glimmer of hope in an increasingly dire situation. Captain Sarah Chen, still recovering from the Horizon incident, volunteered to lead the mission. Her ship, repaired and upgraded, would carry a delegation of Earth's finest minds to the edge of the solar system, where the main Zornax fleet hovered like a sword of Damocles. As the Horizon prepared for its mission, Earth's military forces weren't idle. Admiral Jameson oversaw a massive mobilization effort, bringing mothballed ships back into service and fast-tracking the development of new weapon systems. "We hope for the best," he told his officers, "but we damn well better be prepared for the worst." The day of the mission arrived. The Horizon, now equipped with enhanced shields and a prototype quantum communication array, prepared to depart. Dr. Rodriguez and Dr. Tanaka joined Captain Chen on the bridge, along with a carefully selected team of scientists, diplomats, and military personnel. As the ship broke free of Earth's orbit, a tense silence fell over the crew. They were humanity's last hope for a peaceful resolution. The journey to the edge of the solar system was uneventful, but as they approached the Zornax fleet, the tension aboard the Horizon reached a fever pitch. "Open a channel," Captain Chen ordered, her voice calm despite the circumstances. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, clearing her throat. "This is Dr. Elena Rodriguez of Earth. We come seeking peaceful dialogue and mutual understanding." For several agonizing moments, there was no response. Then suddenly, a holographic image flickered to life on the Horizon's bridge. The alien that appeared was unlike anything they had imagined. Its form was vaguely humanoid, but with iridescent, scale-like skin and multiple sets of eyes that seemed to move independently. You ignore our warnings, the alien's voice boomed, translated through the ship's computers. Your species is chaotic, unpredictable. You are a threat to galactic order. Dr. Rodriguez took a deep breath. We understand your concerns, but we ask you to consider that our differences might be a strength rather than a weakness. Our diversity has driven us to incredible achievements, allowed us to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The Zornak's representative's eyes narrowed. Pretty words, but words alone are meaningless. Prove your worth, humans. What followed was a grueling series of tests and challenges. The Zornaks presented complex mathematical equations, ethical dilemmas, and even tests of physical endurance. The human delegation worked tirelessly, drawing on their varied backgrounds and expertise to meet each challenge. As hours turned into days, it seemed they were making progress. The Zornaks, initially dismissive, began to show signs of interest, even grudging respect. But just as hope began to bloom, disaster struck. A rogue asteroid, knocked off course by the gravitational pull of the massive alien ships, hurtled towards the horizon. In the split second before impact, Captain Chen made a decision that would change everything. Instead of evading, she maneuvered the horizon to shield the nearest Zornax ship from the impact. The human vessel shuddered under the collision, alarms blaring as systems failed across the board. As emergency protocols engaged and the crew fought to keep the ship intact, a stunned silence fell over the Zornax communication channel. Finally, the alien representative spoke. You protected us, at great risk to yourselves. Why? Captain Chen, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead, met the alien's gaze. Because that's who we are. We may be chaotic and unpredictable, but we're also capable of great sacrifice and compassion, even for those who might be our enemies. The Zornax fell silent once more, its multiple eyes blinking in what might have been confusion or contemplation. As the Horizon's crew worked frantically to repair their ship, a new message came through from Earth. Admiral Jameson's voice crackled over the comms, tense and urgent. Horizon, we're detecting massive energy buildups in the Zornax fleet. Whatever you've done, it's triggered something. All ships are moving into attack positions. God help us all. The diplomatic mission had failed. As the Horizon limped back towards Earth, the first shots of an interstellar war were about to be fired. Humanity's fight for survival was no longer a distant possibility. It had become a stark, terrifying reality. The battle begins. The skies above Earth crackled with energy as the Zornax fleet descended upon the planet. Humanity's own ships, hastily assembled and vastly outnumbered, rose to meet them in a desperate bid to protect their homeworld. Admiral Jameson stood in the command center of the UES Defiant, Earth's flagship. His weathered face was illuminated by the glow of tactical displays showing the unfolding battle. All ships engage at will, he ordered, his voice steady despite the dire circumstances. Remember your training and remember what we're fighting for. The space around Earth erupted into chaos. Human ships, smaller and more maneuverable, darted between the massive Zornax vessels, firing salvos of missiles and energy weapons. The aliens returned fire with weapons of unimaginable power, each shot capable of vaporizing a human craft. On the bridge of the Horizon, newly repaired and thrust back into action, Captain Sarah Chen gritted her teeth as she executed a series of evasive maneuvers. Status report, she barked. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Raj Patel, responded grimly, shields at 60% and falling. We've lost contact with the Jakarta and the Sao Paulo. The Zornax are cutting through our defenses like they're not even there. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had insisted on staying aboard despite the danger, clutched her console. There has to be a way to communicate with them, to make them see reason. I'm afraid we're well past that point, Doctor, Chen replied, her eyes never leaving the battle unfolding before her. Right now, our job is to survive. As the battle raged in space, Earth itself was not idle. ground-based defense systems, hurriedly constructed in the weeks leading up to the conflict, sprang to life. Massive rail guns launched projectiles at relativistic speeds, while experimental energy shields flickered into existence around major population centers. In orbit, the human fleet was taking a beating. For every Zornax ship disabled or destroyed, a dozen human vessels were lost. The aliens' technology was simply too advanced, their weapons too powerful. Admiral Jameson watched as another group of human ships winked out of existence on his tactical display. "We can't keep this up," he muttered. Then, louder, "All ships, fall back to secondary defense positions. Initiate Protocol Omega." A chorus of acknowledgements came through the comms as the remaining human ships began a fighting retreat. As they pulled back, a new wave of vessels rose from Earth, unmanned drones, each packed with enough explosives to level a city. "Let's see how they handle this," Jameson said grimly. The drones swarmed towards the Zornax fleet, weaving through their defensive fire. Many were destroyed before they could reach their targets, but enough got through. Explosions blossomed across the alien armada, and for a moment, it seemed like the tide might be turning. But the Zornax response was swift and brutal. A wave of energy swept out from their flagship, disabling the remaining drones instantly. Then, with methodical precision, they began targeting Earth's ground-based defenses. One by one, the railgun emplacements fell silent. The energy shields protecting major cities flickered and died. Panic spread across the globe as the reality of the situation became clear. Earth's best defenses had failed. In the chaos of the battle, the horizon found itself separated from the main fleet, dangerously close to the Zornax flagship. Captain Chen saw an opportunity. "All power to engines," she ordered. "We're going to ram them." "Captain," Dr. Rodriguez protested, "that's suicide." Chen's eyes were steel. "Maybe, but if we can take out their flagship, we might just give Earth a fighting chance." As the horizon accelerated towards its target, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Zornax, realizing the human vessel's intent, concentrated their fire on it. The horizon's shields buckled and failed under the assault, but Chen kept the ship on course. Just before impact, something unexpected happened. A beam of energy shot out from the Zornax flagship, enveloping the horizon. But instead of destroying the ship, it held it in place. "What's happening?" Chen demanded. Before anyone could respond, the bridge of the horizon shimmered and dissolved. Chen, Rodriguez, and the rest of the bridge crew found themselves standing in a vast, alien chamber. Before them stood a group of Zornax, their multiple eyes fixed on the humans with an unreadable expression. "You would sacrifice yourselves to protect your world," one of the aliens said, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. "This is not the action of an inferior species." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "Then why attack us? We've tried to communicate, to show you that we're not a threat." The Zornax leader's eyes swiveled, focusing on her. "Your unpredictability is the threat. For millennia, we have maintained order in this sector of the galaxy. Your rapid advancement, your chaotic nature, these things threaten that order." "But can't you see?" Rodriguez pleaded. "That chaos, that unpredictability, it's what drives us forward. It's the source of our creativity, our ability to adapt and overcome." As this unexpected dialogue unfolded aboard the Zornax flagship, the battle around Earth continued to rage. Human forces were being pushed back on all fronts, their defenses crumbling under the relentless alien assault. In orbit, Admiral Jameson watched with a heavy heart as the last of Earth's defensive satellites were destroyed. His ship, the Defiant, was one of the few human vessels still operational. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're detecting a massive energy buildup in the Zornax fleet. I think they're preparing for a final strike." Jameson closed his eyes for a moment, the weight of humanity's fate heavy on his shoulders. When he opened them again, they burned with determination. "Send a message to all remaining ships and ground forces," he ordered. We make our final stand here. For Earth, for humanity, we fight to the last. As the human forces rally for one last, desperate push, the fate of their species hung in the balance. In the heart of the Zornak's flagship, Captain Chen, Dr. Rodriguez, and their crew found themselves in a position to potentially change the course of the war, if only they could find the right words to bridge the gap between two vastly different civilizations. The battle for Earth had reached its critical moment. The next few minutes would determine whether humanity would survive to see another day, or if their brief flicker of existence in the cosmos would be snuffed out forever. Human ingenuity. As the battle raged on, with humanity's fate hanging by a thread, an unexpected development was unfolding in a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, who had been working tirelessly since the conflict began, burst into the command center, her eyes wild with excitement. "We've done it," she exclaimed, drawing the attention of the haggard military and scientific personnel. "Project Prometheus is ready." General Laura Hawkins, who had been coordinating Earth's ground defenses, turned to face the scientist. "Are you certain, Dr. Tanaka? We can't afford any mistakes at this point." Tanaka nodded vigorously. "We've run every simulation possible. It's our best shot, maybe our only shot." Project Prometheus had been humanity's ace in the hole, a top-secret initiative combining the most advanced human technology with reverse-engineered alien tech salvaged from previous encounters. Its goal, to create a weapon capable of disrupting the Zornax's seemingly impenetrable defenses. As Tanaka explained the intricacies of the project, a glimmer of hope began to spread through the command center. It was a long shot, but at this point, any chance was better than none. Meanwhile, aboard the Zornax flagship, Captain Chen and Dr. Rodriguez were engaged in a tense dialogue with the alien leaders. The fate of their impromptu diplomatic mission, and possibly that of the entire human race, hung on their words. "You speak of chaos as if it's something to be feared," Chen argued, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "But it's that very chaos that has allowed us to adapt and survive against overwhelming odds." The Zornax leader's multiple eyes blinked in what might have been consideration. "Your species has indeed shown unexpected resilience. But how can we trust that your chaos won't bring destruction to the galactic order we've worked millennia to maintain?" Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward. "Perhaps the question isn't about trust, but about understanding. Our chaos, as you call it, isn't mindless destruction. It's the spark of creativity, the drive to explore and innovate. It's what allowed us to come this far, to reach the stars despite our limitations." As they spoke, the battle outside reached a fever pitch. Admiral Jameson's forces were making their last stand, every human ship fighting with the desperation of those who knew they had nothing left to lose. Suddenly, a message crackled through on a secure channel. "Admiral," General Hawkins' voice came through, tense but hopeful. "Project Prometheus is ready. We need you to clear a path to the Zornax flagship." Jameson's eyes widened. This was the moment they had been waiting for. "Understood," he replied. Then to his fleet, "All ships, this is it. Give everything you've got. We need to punch a hole in their defenses." The remaining human vessels surged forward in a coordinated assault, focusing their fire on a single point in the Zornax formation. Caught off guard by the sudden change in tactics, the alien ships struggled to reposition. In that moment of confusion, a sleek, experimental craft shot out from Earth's atmosphere. At its heart was the Prometheus device, the culmination of human ingenuity and desperation. As the craft approached the Zornax flagship, Dr. Tanaka, who had insisted on piloting the mission herself, activated the device. A wave of energy unlike anything seen before rippled out, washing over the alien ships. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the Zornax vessels began to lose power. Their weapons fell silent, their shields flickered and died. Aboard the flagship, the Zornax leader suddenly stiffened, its eyes darting about in what could only be described as panic. "What have you done?" it demanded. Before Chen or Rodriguez could respond, Admiral Jameson's voice boomed through the ship's communication systems. "Attention Zornax fleet, your weapons and shields have been neutralized. Stand down immediately, or we will be forced to destroy you." The Zornax leader turned to the humans, its previous composure shattered. How? How is this possible? Chen couldn't help but smile. That's the thing about chaos and unpredictability. Sometimes they lead to breakthroughs that even we couldn't have imagined. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. "This doesn't have to end in more destruction. We've shown you what we're capable of, both in terms of our resolve to fight and our capacity for technological innovation. But we're also offering you a chance for peace, for understanding." The alien leader was silent for a long moment, its multiple eyes darting between the humans and the view screens showing its now powerless fleet. Finally, it spoke. Perhaps we have misjudged your species. Your chaos is indeed unpredictable." As the tension in the room began to ease, a new chapter in human history was being written. The Prometheus device had given humanity the upper hand, but it was the words of Chen and Rodriguez that were paving the way for a possible peace. Admiral Jameson's voice came through again. "Captain Chen, Dr. Rodriguez, whatever you're doing up there, keep it up. The Zornax fleet is standing down. I think we might have just won this thing." The news spread quickly across Earth and its colonies. Cheers erupted in streets and shelters alike as people realized that against all odds, humanity had survived its first interstellar war. But for those aboard the Zornax flagship, the work was just beginning. As Captain Chen and Dr. Rodriguez continued their discussions with the alien leaders, the foundations for a new understanding between their species were being laid. The battle was over, but the real challenge, building a lasting peace between two fundamentally different civilizations, was just beginning. Yet, as they looked out at the stars, both humans and Zornax alike felt a sense of possibility that hadn't existed before. The chaos of conflict had given way to the potential for growth, learning, and a new era of galactic cooperation. In the heart of the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Tanaka climbed out of the Prometheus craft, exhausted but elated. As she was greeted by cheering colleagues, she couldn't help but think that this was just the beginning. Human ingenuity had saved them today, but it was their spirit of exploration and understanding that would guide them into the future. The stars, once a source of threat, now beckoned with renewed promise. Humanity had not only survived its trial by fire, but had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take its place among the galactic community.